Well, hi from Cord Art. I'm Mike, and I want to attempt to make this owl. It's quite involved, and it might take more than one video, but we'll do our best. I'll just give a brief description of what we're going to try and achieve. The piece of wood it sits on is just something out of the garden. Drilled a hole in the side and stuck a perch. I had an idea that he was going to sit on the perch, but because his tail's so long, he had to sit on top. And he's only sitting on a bit of blue tack that holds him onto the actual perch. So what have we actually got to make this owl? Well, as I say, it's quite detailed. The main bulk of it is three monkey's fists. There's a large monkey's fist, which is an egg shape, which is the grey part inside. And by the way, on this changing the colours slightly, so it won't be exactly the same, but you can never get them exactly the same. There's too many variations going on. So we got the big monkey's fist there. We'll go through making that. There's two monkey's fists, one here for one eye and one there for the other eye. So two monkey's fists together just there. And then what have we got? Not a great deal really. We've got an angel's wing, a rather substantial angel's wing, making his ears and eyes. I mean, that looks a bit good, doesn't it? Like that, yeah. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of work in the angel's wing, as there is on the two wings each side. Again, them being angel's wings. What have we got apart from the angel's wings? We've got lots of zipper zeniths going on. We've got a small zipper zenith underneath its chin. One like a scarf going all the way around, change the colour slightly in the size of cord. And then a small zipper zenith at the back there. We've got a zipper zenith going around his bib. That's another angel's wing, smaller one this time. So what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 4 angel's wings. Zipper zeniths, we've got 2 going around its eyes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots of zipper zeniths. Sorry, 7. There's another one there at the base. That's a gutted one. His tail is 3 cobras with a metal core in each. We'll cover that in this video as well. They're gutted. His feet, which stick out nicely, don't they? They're just whipping, and we'll cover that as well. Now, his eyes are quite simple to make. Just a hot glue gun. I've got one down here. A hot glue gun. I'll just put him down for a moment. This isn't on, so I can't really show you. But just press it onto the bench, well, above the bench, and let it drip down into a pool and let it go off. You have to gauge the size of the eye, and then the fun begins painting it. Now, I've painted that yellow first, all of it. Let that dry. I've had to paint it 2 or 3 times in the yellow. I've gone over the base of the eye in gold, the pupil obviously black, then a little bit of black around the edges, and just to sort of seat the eyes onto the head, there's a little bit of white cord around each of the eyes. So that's it in its essence, really. I'm going to attempt to go through stage by stage of how I made this. I won't give details of all the bits you need and the lengths and the tools. I think they'll all become obvious as we're going through the video. So just to start off with, I'm going to show you the polystyrene balls that I used and give you the sizes of those. So his body, which is an egg shape, obviously we're not going to put it that way. His tail comes down here, yeah. Now that is a size, what did we make that? The egg size is 3 1/4 inches long, which is 80 millimeter that way, and is about 2 1/4 inches wide, which is 60 mil that way. And we're going to cover that in a monkey's fist. I'm not going to be showing that one because I've actually I've shown in the past how to cover a monkey's fist for when I've been making the elephants and what have you. So that one will appear as a monkey's fist. The 2 for the head, like so, are 1 3/4 inch diameter, which is 50 millimeters, But as you can see, they're quite a long way apart. I mean, what do I mean by that? They're not touching each other properly. I want them touching each other flat. So I've prepared another two here to show you what I mean. Now that looks a lot more like an owl's head. And all I've done there is to slice off 1/2 inch in depth. That one, I can feel that one's not quite right. It belongs on the other one. They're not exact, but that one, that comes off of there. So 1/2 inch in, I've cut off. Don't worry about the extra line around there. I was just fiddling around with it. So I've cut 2 1/2 inches off of, a 1/2 inch off of each ball, and then they will go together. Now when I cover these in cord as monkey's fists, they do stand off a little bit further. So it's debatable how much you take off of each ball. As I said, I've made it 1/2 inch in. The next stage of this is the fact that I want not only them to be flat together like so, I want a bit off the front there so that his face is flatter rather than being round. So what I intend on doing is slicing probably another 1/2 inch right the way across the front. I'll have a go at doing one of those while I'm online. Just slice it off with my Stanley knife. So you'll need a Stanley knife, you'll need a marking pen, and obviously a tape measure to be able to measure how much you want to take off. I'm guessing this. I'm just going to take off the same amount on each one and see what it looks like. We'll try and get the same amount. It's pretty difficult, but now how are we looking there? Can you see what I've done there? So we've got the two sides of the head touching, and I think that's enough off of there. What you've got to remember is when you're doing a monkey's fist onto foam, it can get distorted. I'm going to take it a stage further now. It's exactly, excuse me, what I did with this is I'm going to find the centre of each, a bit like that. And now what I want to do is dish some of this out. I want to dish some of this out because I want the eye to sit back into the hole. You've got to remember that we've got to do a monkey's fist round this, and it's becoming quite a weird shape. So I don't want to take too much out. So we'll just scoop a little bit out with the Stanley knife, because it does allow us to pull the monkey's fist around a little bit at a later date. So I've just scooped out, don't know if you can see that in this light, scooped out what would look a bit like an owl's eye, to be quite honest, with the other one. But I've got just enough out there for my liking, and there we go. So this is the beginning part. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to click off now because I've got to arrange things, but I'm going to click off because we're going to cover one of these together, making a monkey's fist, and one I'll do offline. You don't need to see two of them going on. And also I'll give you the dimensions of the cord for all three of these. I'll see you soon. Welcome back to Cord Art. Just wanted to show you these bits of glue that I've been messing around with. Different sizes. As I say, you have to guess on, I think the two that I'm going to use for this particular owl will be these two. About the same size. If I get them really close, you can see that they're drops of glue. But it's advisable right at the beginning of this project to make your eyes and start painting. When I've done this part of the video, I'll paint these yellow, only in acrylic paint, water-based acrylic paint. But they take about three different coats with about a couple of hours between drying, unless you put them onto something like a heater. But that's what the eyes are going to be made out of. Let's move back onto the formers that we've just been talking about. You'll see that with the egg, I've covered in masking tape. So the reason I do that is, one, is it protects the inner if I'm using any glue on it. The polystyrene doesn't like super glue, and I use a bit of super glue here and there, and also the hot glue gun. So I've covered that one. we're going to cover this one now. This is part of the head that we was looking at earlier on, and the light isn't all that good in here. That's a bit better. You can see the indentation of the eye. So what we're going to do is just get a bit of tape. It doesn't have to be neat, because it's all going to be covered. We just really want to cover the whole piece of foam. So I tend to go around the sides first. Doesn't matter if it overlaps. Squeeze it down. Cover the back of the head. Bit of tape. As I say, when you get to cutting away bits of foam, it also beefs it up a little bit so that you can pull on the cords when you're doing the monkey's fist. And then we'll have, I think, 4 pieces going into the eye. Just rip those up, place it into the eye socket, bring it round, like so. And like so. So that's, you can see our eye socket there. Nice bit of tape all the way around it. If I put glue on that now, it won't melt. If I didn't have the tape on, it would. So there's a little bit of trickery needed on making the monkey's fist around this. It's not overly important, but I'm a little bit that way inclined, where I like things to be just right. Now here's the other one, which I have covered with cord. We've got a flat side here, which will go up against that flat side there, like so. In the front, you can see if you push down, you've got the indentation where the eyeball's going to go in. Same here when we've actually covered it with cord. Now, observation here is that you can see the cords are running this way. If we'd end up with the cords, say, running that way, up and down, it wouldn't look quite the part, because, let's find it again. There's the flat side on the inner, there's the indentation, and you've still got the roundness of the face there. If you have it like so, it's not quite so effective. So it's about orientation when we do the positioning of this in the jig. So saying that, we've got this covered in tape, so it's fortified it a little bit. Obviously then you need a jig. If you haven't got a jig, you need to buy one or make one. I've done a video on how to make a simple monkey's fist jig with some chopsticks and 2 bits of round wood with holes drilled in them. That's on my YouTube website. It's worth taking a look. They're dead easy to make. All you need is a drill and a saw, and away you go. But then you find more or less where the holes need to be on your jig and pop the head inside. Now, it hasn't got a top and bottom as such, but it's very much got a front and a side. And that is the consideration when we try to orientate this ball in there. So I'll just pop the top on, if I can find some decent holes, about there I think. So you can choose which holes you want to put the top of the chopsticks in, like so. Chopsticks go up through there. So what I've found with this is we need 12 feet of cord. And for all those people that haven't seen me make a monkey's fist, I tend to leave a bit of spare, yeah, on the jig, over like so. Wrap it round 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's 4, never mind. 4 will do. Keeping it fairly tight, i.e. hanging on to both ends. I'll then slide a pin up through the cords where we started. There it is. Up through the cords like so. There's the pin. And that holds the bottom cord tight on a temporary basis. Now, the amount of times around this, we need to go up 7 times, come round, 4 and 3 is 7, but we need to come right the way round to down again. So we got 7 to there. So we've got 7 winds onto the jig. We've got the back of the head facing us. Just lift it into there. unravel the mess I've got my cord into, and we'll go over and back under. Taking the twist out as we go. So we've got 7 going up the ball. We've got the flat on that side, the eyeball on the back side, and the back of the head this side. And we want to go through there only 6 times. Once we've got this through, we'll be able to take our pin out. It's all about neatness. Try and keep it nice and neat. All the cords going up and down rather than sort of diagonally. For 6 over the top, we'll bring the 6th one around the base, up the side, like so. And then we're going to go diving down this side. Like so. We're going to bring that down like that. Make sure that we haven't got any twist. There's a little bit of twist there. So we'll twist that out and down we go. Back under. And then back up through these. Yeah, and over the top. Now this time we go round, we revert back to 7. So we have 7 coming up the ball. We have 6 going over the top that way, and then when we come to this 3rd parting, we revert back to 7. Once we've achieved this, we're going to be tightening up twice, right the way through the thing. I'll do the first tightening with you to show you how I tighten. I've shown it before on other videos, but it's just my choice, the way that I like to tighten things up on a monkey's fist. I made the other one with 13 feet of cord, found that it was too much. You can get away with 12 feet quite easily on this one. Going up for the last time now. You can see I've got plenty of cord, so probably get away with 11 foot to be quite honest. Just manoeuvre the cords in so that they're nice and neat. And that's down for the last time, I believe. We just manoeuvre the cords out of the way so that we can get that down like so. That's it. We'll take that pin out now, and just before we take it off the jig, we just make sure it's all square. Top off. Take the fit off. Oh, still got one of those there. Right, now to tighten, as I say, just make sure everything's square. The short part is where we started, and that's where we're going to start to tighten up from. I've gone off camera, so I'll bring it back in. The short part, what we're going to do is just fold that over like so, and then just take those around. A gentle tug, nothing great. See if I can bring it around this way a bit. Here we go. No great pulling or anything like that, just to get the cords into position. So that's the 7 tightened up, the actual ball, yeah, only for the first one. That's going to be our flat surface at the side. Then we're coming over, we're changing direction down to this one. And we're not going to overdo that pulling on that top one there. We're just going to leave that nice and loose. There's a bit of twist in there that I didn't get out, but there you go. And change direction once more and bring that loop down so you don't pull it. You don't want to be pulling it all out like so. So we'll slacken that one off slightly. Bring it around the side and off you go for the last 7. As I say, we're going to go around this again. I might do that off screen because you don't want to be watching hours of just pulling cables. But there's a few things that I need to point out when we come to the end. There's the last bit. So once we've actually tightened them down twice and we've got the eyes holes facing forward, we're then going to adapt it slightly by taking a cord around those front 7, taking them right the way through and pulling them so that we've got the indentation that we want so that we can put our eyes in. There we go, that's the flat there. That's the eye socket. So what we'll do, got a darning needle and a bit of micro cord. We're going to pass that under those 7, like so. Pick up the knot that I've made in the bottom of it and pull it tight, or tightish. So we gather those like so. Yeah, and then we're going to take the needle right the way through the ball and out the back. We're not going to come out it doesn't really matter, it's all going to be covered, but you can come out more or less where you want. I don't really want to do one of the over the top ones, so I come through, maneuver it into position and pulling like so. Yeah, all of this is going to be covered by other cord, so what it looks like now doesn't really matter, but we're looking for the indentation. And then I'm going to fasten it off at the back there, and we'll have 2 eyes indentated like so. Yeah, and that's going to be our owl's head, or part of it. Come back to you shortly. Well, welcome back to Cord Art. There you can see that we've actually glued the 2 halves of the head together. So what we need to do now is give him his crown, so to speak, like so. Now if you count on this one how many bites go along the front edge, it's 15. Yeah, and the way that we get this to stay in shape is there's a piece of wire from there to there. Now we'll have a go at that as our next part of the project. I've got a shank of cord here, so you basically just chuck it on the floor and keep hold of one end. I have the cord because I just take it off of the hank of cord, if you like. So we've got the end. For those 15 to fit on, you need about 6 inches of wire. I've just bent the end over there. So we'll grab the inners, slide that piece of wire down into the cord. Yeah. Once we've got it just pushed in further, we can cut that end off. And give it a melt over. Like that. Yeah. And then we've got our 6-inch piece in there, like so. Now we're going to bend about 3/4 of an inch down at the end there, yeah? So it just goes down at a right angle. That will stop the cords coming off that way. To stop them coming off this way, we're going to do something similar to this end, but a bit easier. So we're going to stick a pin just at the end of that wire there, yeah? So we've got this sort of effect. We're then going to take the cord and double it over. Do that again. There's the pin. I'm going to bring that back over. Back over towards this end and loop it there. Yeah, I'm going to come underneath the beam now, so to speak, and come up through the middle. Yeah. So we've got that sort of effect. See if I can show that a little bit better. That sort of effect. Yeah. And then it's just got a matter of continuing doing that. Now I'm going to get hold of the base, put a loop into it. The opposite side, this is going underneath now, yeah? So I'll bring it up, over, under, over, so that we've got that. Now, as you can see at the bottom there, we have one bite there. This isn't actually a bite, this is just a loop. But that is a bite, and that is a bite. So we've got 1, 2 bites. Now, we need 15. I'll travel on doing a good many of those I'll just show you one more. So we've got this cord hanging down, make a loop out of it. It's got to go underneath this time, the opposite to what it was. Still got my loop. That was an under, over, under, and over the top one. So then go to something like that. We've now got 3 bites. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. The pin's stopping it coming off that way, and my right angled bend is stopping them all coming off that way. See if I can show you one more so it's quite clear. So this cord is coming down behind the beam that you're looking at. We grab hold of a loop of cord, we bring towards you, over the beam, under the next cord, weave it through, and then we've got that. And as you can see, I like to keep one side to the left and one side to the right. Now we have, that's still not a bite, that one, that's just the bend. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bites. As I say, we need to do that. We need to get 15 bites. It's not an easy task, but I'll get about halfway through it and come back and show, and then we'll complete that and I'll show you how we tighten it all up. Back soon. Well, we're up to 11 bites at the moment all across here. This is 11 loops. There's 6 and there's the other 5, and then we just carry on to 15. Now this is probably the biggest that I feel comfortable in going with an angel's wing. I think I might have done something a bit bigger on a witch, but we're just going backwards and forwards, under, over, like going up a ladder here. And as you can see, I'm trying to keep all the cords that I put up through to either one side or the other. The good thing about this is if you think, oh well, that one's too short to go up there, but you can pull it through. So that's an under now to you, an over, under, up through, and then when we get to the top, that is 12 bites at the bottom. But can you see One is that you don't want to be crossing over these, you don't want to get it twisted, and you need to, on each occasion, pull them apart so that you've got a clear way up through the centre. So that's 12. I'll come back to you on the last one. Well, there you go, that's 14 bites. You can see it's a bit of a monster. I've got to go back up through one more time to get my 15. So I've cut the cord, mounted it over, and I'm just going to do the opposite of what it's just done. So I'm going up through the centre, over, under, and then over, under, all the way up to the top. So say this is a bit of a beast to do. Not so much in the making, but in the tightening. It's hard enough to actually get everything neat and working the way you want them to, but it's doable. So say I think I might have made one slightly bigger, but I know for a fact it didn't come out the way I wanted it. It wasn't as neat as I'd like to have had it, but at least I attempted it. It didn't really matter on my witch. It was the very first witch that I did, and it was the back of the cloak, so it wasn't seen. So we'll just come into the top of this one again, and that should be our 15 bites all the way up, well, along the base. So there we are, we've got plenty of that. We need that little bit extra there. So tightening starts. I'm not going to go right the way through this. I'm going to tighten it myself, but the tightening starts just down here by this, what's it there? Can you see this first cord which goes along there? Got to pull that one, tighten it, and it go all the way round and round and round, and it basically goes in a circle, tightening it up, tightening it up. So I intend to leave you there, tighten this up, and come back to you. Well, there we are. It's tightened up once. I did think about tightening it up a second time, but I don't think it's necessary. You might have to just stretch out those cords along, those 15 cords along the wire, to get the length that we need. So there's his head. If we put it like so, bend it round the back, yeah, you're going to have we'll come forward a little bit more than that, like so. This little bit here is going to bend underneath and be glued out the way, but you can see how he's coming on, and that's how we do his ears. Obviously we've got a hot glue gun this on, and I'll be doing that shortly, probably offline, and then we'll concentrate on doing his eyes. Whilst I've got you there, I've been painting what I showed you earlier on, and we have two yellow eyes. I'm going to start decorating them with a bit of gold and a bit of black here and there, and I'll show you that a bit later. Speak to you later. Bye bye. Well, welcome back to this tutorial. As you can see, I've completed his ears, but they're just pinned on there. I like to more or less make all the components to my projects, pin them together. I've positioned it now. You can see that the tail end just comes up. It's pinned with a couple of pins there, just to there, and that looks quite good. I mean, we can bring it down like so, or position it where we want to, but as I say, eventually we'll glue this on. Turning to the body for a second before we look at the eyes, here's the egg covered. Now I used 28 feet of cord. We started here and we went up 15 times, 15 twirls around the jig, got to just there and disappeared over the back there, and we did 10. Yeah, we did 10 that way, did our 10, come to this position here, dive down and come underneath these, and there's a further 10. That's how far I've got with the body so far. So that's 15, 10 and 10 and 28 feet of cord. So that's on its way. What else have I got on the way? I'm doing a bit of eye surrounds at the moment. I've chose to do it in white. This is what's going to go around the eye. Yeah, Not sure if it's going to go fully around the eye this time. Before, it just came like so, up round the eye to the top of the ear. Not sure which way I'm going to do that this time. Getting on quite well with the eyes. They're starting to get painted up. That doesn't look too bad at the moment, but I will, once those two white spots have dried, give it a coat of acrylic varnish. I've got some water-based acrylic varnish, so I'll give it a coat of that. And then we'll start playing around with the eyes. But until then, I'm just waiting for this paint to dry. Well, there you go. There's the finished article for the body. As I say, the base will be done that way a little bit, and this tail will come down here. But I'm quite pleased with that. That's come out quite nice. But anyway, back to the eyes. I've furthered it a little bit more. As you can see, I've put a white zipper zenit around this eye. Now the eyes are just stuck on with a bit of blue tack at the moment, so I can get the right position. And the cord is just pinned into position. Now you can see I've put a little eyelash on this one, and that's just pinned into position as well. I wanted to see what that would look like. You need 4 inches of zipper zenit to go around there, but obviously with dimensions and everything, you should actually tie the knot and try it on and see what's what, how many knots you need. But it's about 4 inches. Now what do we need to tie 4 inches of zipper zenit? Well, you need 4 feet of white 2mm cord. 2 feet of cord doubled, making 4 feet. It doesn't matter which side's which. Obviously one side on mine's longer than the other, but 2 feet that way on either cord. Bend there. This one will just twist under. Yeah. By twisting it under, this cord then is underneath and is not going anywhere. With this one, a double, put the loop through and tighten it down onto that loop, like so. Yeah. Nice and tight. So we end up with a loop. Can you see that? No, there you go. Loop like so. The one that we just pulled down on will form a loop, put it behind and bring it through. See if I can bring it up a bit closer. So the loop's gone through, tighten down onto that loop. Pull the excess through. Tighten down onto that loop again. Bring the excess through. Tight. So this one, a loop. Behind, up through. Try and keep it square, neat. Pull down tight. Bring the excess through the loop so it's all nice and tight. Loop underneath, or loop behind, through, neat enough bit. Tighten it down, pull the excess through, down, excess through, down. And as you can see, it's starting to take shape. We'll do a couple more, but I'm then going to go on to make 4 inches of this and do my best to place it round that second eye, and then start thinking about the beak, because the beak is all important. It's the 2 orange parts on the project plus the eyes that draw the attention the most. Pull the excess, tighten, excess, tighten. Need 4 inches of that. I'm not going to do all that online. I'll do that 4 inches and I'll come back to you. So all pins and blue tack at the moment, but I think it's starting to look pretty good. What we've got to do now is make a beak. Now the beak, I'll just put that one down for the moment, as you can see, is a cobra. But I tried to make it thick at the top and slender down the bottom. But we'll make the beak next. Not too much messing around with it, but I will show it. Well, welcome back. You can see he's coming along quite nicely now. Decided to put his beak underneath the surrounds of the eyes. The other one, just show you, on top. But it looks a lot better if it's underneath. I've done a little bit of research and oops, he's fallen off his perch. But if you look at this one now, we've got a beak, we've got 2mm black cord going round each eye, and we've got 4mm paracord going round the outside of his surround eye. I think I quite like it like that. All still pinned together, but what I want to do today is try and concentrate on this beak. You can see that it's slightly ovaled like so. Now how do we get it like that? Let's have a look. The way I achieved it is I had two 7-inch pieces of 2mm orange. Yeah. The first one I put in 8 inches of wire down inside. Yeah. Fold it over in the middle, approximately. It doesn't have to be exactly right. Like so. Just fold it over like that. Now the other 7-inch piece of cord, I don't want wire down in the centre. So what I've done is cut two 4-inch pieces of wire, and we'll see if we can thread those down inside from each side. That's about it. A little bit sticking out. If we can do the same more or less to the other side and get it equal. Now the idea of this is that the beak will be sharper at this end. Just get that one to where I want it. I haven't bent the wire over, so the sharp bits are just picking up on the inner of the cord. But as you can see, that's the bit at the end comes right close together. Yeah, only want about a few mil of non-wired cord, if you like. Now the idea is that we place one inside the other, like so. Maneuver it just into position. Now it's not going to stay like that without me gluing it. So, and this is all going to fall to bits. I'm going to put a cobra around these, but for them to stay in position, I'm going to have to use a drop of super glue. So we'll hold them all together and hope that we're going to be good. Like so, yeah, and then we're going to be pinching that in with the cords as we do the cobra up. Now we start doing the cobra at this end. Now I've gutted 4 feet of 2mm orange. You'll have to bear with me if you can't see it all on screen, but we're going to half that over, place it over the top of the project like so. And then the first one is always the most awkward one. There's a lot of spare on here. This is all going to be cut off. We probably want about 3 inches, maybe 3 inches at the most. But the first thing is to get this cobra started. So we'll go over and up through and just maneuver that first part of the cobra to about there. Now this has to be done up fairly tight. You can see the first cobra there, and it's just a matter of going all the way down with cobra. I'll do one more. So we've got our knot on the side, this side. We're going to be coming over, this one under, up through, and tightened. Try to get this one really nice and neat. As you can see, it's got to be quite tight. Now I'm going to travel right the way down to that first, travel all the way down to that first arch. Well, here we go. I've travelled all the way from there up to the end of the first circle. I've travelled all the way from here up to that first inside semicircle. We've got this now which is flexible, and I've just got to somehow carry on doing my knot, my cobra, over that last little piece. And I think the only reason that I can do that is because I've got gutted cord. I think it's in the hands of the gods really what it turns out looking like, but let's have a go. I think this one and perhaps one more. This might be enough actually. No, I can get one more. I was at this position before and I thought, I'll get away with that, but no, I want to probably do one more. So over, it's a bit fiddly, and then you've got to manoeuvre it as well, coming right to the end there. That's the last one. And that one nice and tight, and that's what we end up with. Hopefully it's showing something like the beak I've got on the actual model. So what we'll do then is just snip those two off. Give them a bit of heat, smarten things up. Now I did say that we was going to make this a little bit 3D, but it's not necessary now that I've actually taken the beak under the outer eyes. Dropping things here. 2 seconds. So what we need to do now is get rid of all of that waste. I've got a nice sharp pair of pliers, I hope. Yep, they're off. And I'll probably just put a touch of super glue on there to stop the thing moving off. Need a little bit more heat on that one down there. That's it. So there's our nose. I think I'm probably the only cordist with a spare owl's nose. Let's have a look at that compared. So you can see that that will slide up in there. It comes right over the top and gets stuck right underneath everything, and it goes in there and it gets glued in when this is glued on. Yeah. So that's how we achieved the head. That's more or less the head complete now. So let's turn our attentions back to the body. I have moved things on. I've made his wings. Now again, the light's not too good in here. Obviously they're angel's wings, and they are 9 bites along that one and 9 bites along that one. Colour of your choice. Now, and as I said, with my angel's wings, I just take it from the ball of string or ball of cord. But you'll need a piece of wire like we did on the headpiece that we made into a large angel's wing, and the dimension for that, you'll need a piece of wire in there 3 inches long, 3 inches on each side, but because you'll want to bend a right angle through the wire, you'll need 4 inches either side and cut off the access. Okay. I have interwoven to give a bit of plumage, so I've gone up, I've worked it out, and it's got some white interlinks between, giving it some plumage on the wings. I've made the bib, and again I've interwove it with white plumage, all just pinned on there at the moment, so nothing permanent. So the next thing I'm going to do is do some zippers in it, which will go around here. Not sure if I'm going to do white 2mm or white 4mm. I might do one of each and try them. I'm going to do the zippers in it, which will surround his neck. Yeah. So I'm going to do all the bits of zippers in it, and then I'll come back to you and we'll make the feet or the legs and the tail. And we'll leave it at that for the moment. Okay, thanks. Well, welcome back. You can see that I've done a little bit of husbandry on this owl now. He's got his bib, but the bib has been pushed up further than what I showed it just recently. Bit of zippers in it round the actual bib, bit of zippers in it around just above his feet, where his feet are going to be. Round the back, he's got the zippers in its scarf, and it all seems to be coming together quite well. So let's look at his feet. What do we do to make his feet? I've made one of the feet, like so. Bit of whipping. I'm halfway making through the second foot, so we can pick up on that. So there's one of his toes. That's the one I've just made, like so. So that will be the second one. So how do we make these individual parts? I mean, when we've made 3 of them, these white ends just twist round like so. We put them together, twist these round because they've got wire in them. Bit of super glue on there, yeah. I also put a little bit of super glue just between each toe so that they don't splay out too much. But let's get down to it. So I've got a 4-inch piece of gutted cord. Yeah, that's 2mm gutted white cord. Put a bit of wire inside. You know how to do that by now. And then we've got 20 inches of orange 2mm cord. Now that's not gutted, that's whole cord. Make a loop in the middle. We decide which end we want to have his little toenail, yeah? And we put the loop the opposite way round to, there's the toenail. We put the loop over the top of, I don't know whether I can actually show it a bit better around this way. So we put the loop like so, yeah? Bring that a little bit more central. We've got to, now what have we got to do? Let me just get my bearings on this. I've just switched on. So we need to have, we don't need to have it completely in half, but we need a loop. We need a loop so that we can actually put it like so. We need this bit hanging out over the top of the toe, so we'll be able to pull that shortly, yeah? So how many mind we want about 3mm of toe. We're going to whip down that way. 1, we'll come over the top of that one. 2, we need 15. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we've come round the toe 15 times. Can you see it's just got that little white toe sticking out there? Yeah? Because we've got that loop, we can pass that one through now. Come on, come through. Through the loop. Make sure that you've got hold of everything and give that a little bit of a tug. Once it's just caught on there, get hold of that end and give it a really good tug, and a tug this way as well. Simple as that. So we'll just snip those off now. One there and one there. We'll snip the other 2 off whilst we're at it. Exactly the same as what we just made. Snip that one off. Like so. Bit of heat. Melt that one. Bit of heat on that one. Be careful not to burn your toes, so to speak. Not quite good, that one. That's got it. So there's one of our toes, so to speak. Like that. Heat this one up. And then we can bend that round in an arch. Bend this back up the other way. Get rid of our waste. And with the three of them, the idea is to get them just about where you want them and just twist them round like so. Don't know why one came out longer than the others there, but of course once we've shaped this, this is going to be placed in the base of the owl. Two holes will be made into the bottom of the owl, and once we're happy they'll go up inside the hole. His feet will then come out in front of him. So as I say, I'd just like to get those in the position that I like them. Hopefully there's some glue in here. Touch of super glue just there and there. Touch of super glue on the actual stem itself. And we end up with his 2 feet. Yeah. The tail, more or less the last part of this tutorial before we start putting them together. We want 3 feathers. Now 3 feathers, all it is a piece of cord, 550 cord, gutted with a piece of wire inside. I'll show you how we do the last one. I'm going to have the central one, which is slightly longer, with 2 white ones, and then they will slip up in the back of the owl. They'll slip up inside of there. Touch of glue on there if you need it. As I say, the feet will be going underneath here, up through, make a hole either side, and our feet will be placed there. So how do we go about making the feather? Quite simple again, really. We find ourselves a piece of gutted cord, white this time, and it's going to be 4 inches long with a slightly smaller piece of wire inside, probably 3.5 inches, like so. We're going to seal that piece of wire into the cord, like so. Push the wire down onto that melted end, and then seal that one. Now with the white feather, we have 2 inches of knotting. There's 2.5 inches on the grey one that I did for the centre, but it's done in the same way. So we're going to do 2 inches of knotting down there. So I've got a piece of white gutted cord, which measures, I believe, well, let's measure it. We're 30 inches. 30 inches of white gutted cord. We halve it, so we've got the bend there. Place this one on top of the bend, like so. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is get this to stick on the insides of the loop. So we'll heat that up. And stick it just inside like that. Now that will be the bottom of the feather. Now we've got to tie 2 inches of cobra. Shouldn't take us too long. First knot is as usual, the most important. I want to get it placed just where we need it. Here we go. So that's our first cobra knot there, like so, yeah? Second. Always find that gutted cord is better tighter rather than looser. So this should be the last part of the component parts for this owl. As I say, I've got all the others just pinned into position or ready to go on. I'm not going to actually show how I glue it all together because, well, we can all glue. What job we make of it is really down to us. So I intend on making this last feather for its tail, showing you the tail, and then I'm going to push on off screen and, well, basically glue it all together, and I'll come back with the result. How are we doing? Under 2 inches still. Probably one more. We'll check that out. I've gone too many. No, that's just about right. That's not too bad. Probably one not too many, but not too bad at all. So we'll snip them. I'm quite pleased with that. And then the tail will be the slightly longer one and the two shorter ones, and then their wires, like so, will travel up inside the behind the cords. As I said earlier on, they'll go up inside there, yeah, and they can bend out slightly like such. So I'm aware that this tutorial is getting very long. I've already got to split it into two. Even when I've edited a lot of what I've got to say out, I think it's going to be over an hour. So the gluing up is the gluing up. I dissect it completely and then start from scratch and just glue all the way through. Hot glue on the big parts and super glue on the small parts. So I'll see you at the other end.